Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Savage Goose Show, where we talk about all things Savage Goose. And I realize I have not turned my lights on yet to actually make myself visible. There we go. There we go. Everyone can see me now. Today, I'm joined by Pete Saloom over at Pear Tree Studio. We're not interviewing him today. That is coming in a few weeks, right?
The 21st.
Yeah, 21st. So, on 21st, we'll be talking to Pete about his Kickstarter.
Yeah.
But we'll get there in a bit. But first off, thank you all for joining us today, and we're going to talk about my first convention playing running Savage Worlds at convention. And in reality, I think it was the first convention I actually went to actually play Savage World or play anything really. So I'm looking forward to talking about that. But first, we have a lot of news to cover. Let's go ahead and jump in.
There's a lot going on.
Yeah, a lot of stuff to talk about. So first thing, let's get the newsletter here. First big thing, Pathfinder for Savage Worlds Carrion Crown is coming to the backer kit. So if you are not familiar with Pathfinder Savage Worlds, where have you been? This is it's been a bit now. But Pathfinder for Savage Worlds is doing their third adventure path. First, we had the Rise of the Rune Lords adventure path, followed by the Crimson Throne, and now Carrion Crown. You can check out that over on BackerKit, and if this will be launching on the 21st. We'll talk about all the Kickstarters in a bit, but that's the first one we want to mention. It's the big news coming from Pinnacle right now. Second piece of news is that there is now a new free-form fillable science fiction companion character sheet. So Savage Worlds gives out free character sheets to play their game. Makes sense. Most games do that. This one's specifically designed for using with the science fiction companion, so it gives it a little more different aesthetic. You can take a look at that. As always, they make their products with very easy layers to remove, so if you want to make it a little more printer friendly, you can go ahead and remove certain layers to make it look nicer for your print without removing everything. So take a look at that. There's a black and white version as well. Licensee Spotlight. This is going to be in our new product section as well, but Dreadwyld. This is the Dreadwyld Primer. So one of the things that they talk about on the page is that this is not a full setting. This is just a glimpse at a new setting. I believe that's going to be called Dreadwyld. So we'll have to see what the rest of that looks like as it comes. And maybe it's just going to see if people are interested in this kind of setting. The things inside this primer are going to include a new PowerPoint free magic system, which I'm curious about. I've not purchased this yet to figure out what's in this. There's going to be but I am curious about reading what the new PowerPoint. Every time someone does something new inside Savage Worlds, I'm mechanic wise, I'm very curious to see what that is. I'm not sure if you have that same opinion. Because of the modularity of Savage Worlds, it's really easy to create new rule sets that just work. So I like the idea. One of the things I actually don't always enjoy, I really like the idea of PowerPoint list systems. So I'm very curious to see how they do theirs. That's different from the PowerPoint list system that's in the core rulebook. So we'll have to look at that.
Yeah, it looks like they're doing some interesting things here. And it seems like a primer might just be sort of the key differences for this setting that they're developing, maybe kind of to tease you into deciding whether this is for you or not.
Yeah, right. So we'll have to see what comes to this, and I'll have to read more into it. The primer is 103 pages, so it's not like a small quick start. This is a big.
Yeah, it's not a jump start. Yeah, it's not a quick start.
This is a full thing. So take a look at that. That's coming. That's out. I don't know if I have a. I'll try to get some links down here later. I was looking through a lot of different products today, a lot of stuff to cover. So we'll see if I can get that into the show notes later. Licensee Spotlight, Scarred Lands. Player's guide for Savage Worlds. As I've been talking about this a bit, the people over at Aegis Studios, mostly Travis, is working on bringing the world of Scarred Lands, which is developed by Onyx Path, into the system of Savage Worlds, and they've been done a lot of creature features. They've released the character sheets, and we're just waiting for that final Kickstarter to actually get the books for this setting. I'm very, very excited about this because it is another one of those really big settings that has been around for a while, and we're incorporating it into Savage Worlds, and just bringing hopefully some more players who are interested in this setting into the Savage Worlds community. It's a great community, and I'm glad to be a part of it. And I'm hoping that people will get excited for Scarred Lands. I'm excited because I have the 5th edition version, and I would love to play it in Savage Worlds instead. So that's very exciting for me.
That looks really cool.
All right. Well, that's the only thing going on. That's the whole entire newsletter, which is actually a newsletter, but we have a lot of other things going on as well. So with that, we're going to go ahead and move on to Kickstarters. So one, I'm going to be so because there's just so many Kickstarters. And I'd say I think it's about half of them I do want to get spend time on. Not that these are all these look like they're good and like well put together. It's just a matter of like, what am I going to spend my money on? So we'll talk a few, make sure that you're aware of all of them, and then you can decide for yourself which ones you're interested in. The first one's called the Elven Emissaries. This is currently ongoing. It is going to end October 23rd.
I believe it's fully funded.
Yeah, I haven't taken a look at the Kickstarter. I have taken a look at the Kickstarter, but I haven't taken a look at it since.
I hope I'm not misrepresenting that. I believe it is.
Let's see here. Just got to put up all the Kickstarters and see if they're funded. But this is more of a supplement product from what I can tell. It seems like you might know more about than I do. It is funded. It's actually 280% funded. But it's a small, it was like $250. But my understanding, I'll share this tab instead, is this just a small book that's going to help you kind of flesh out some it's going to have an 8-part plot campaign.
Mm-hmm.
That's actually when I see there's a plot campaign, that actually immediately gets me more interested. So, okay, interesting. But yeah, it's gonna be about elves. It's gonna be about their homeland and the God Emperor and some elven villages and all that kind of stuff. And it's gonna be a plot point campaign. Basically, just think very elvish setting, like very elvish focused setting. So that's that. We have a lot more to talk about, so I can't spend too much time on these. But if you guys, by the way, if you guys do know any of these publishers and they would like to come on to the show and talk about the product, please let them know. I'd love to have them on. Like I said, Pete's gonna be on later, so just come on. But back over to Kickstarters. The other one is Tales from Whitechapel. This is from Battlefield Press. They did the original Robotech adventure, or not adventure, like the product for Robotech and Savage Worlds. They're doing Tales from Whitechapel, which is going to be an anthology of. It says an anthology for the Gaslight Victorian Fantasy RPG. So Gaslight does have a version for Savage Worlds, so I think this is going to be like an anthology of adventures for that. It's my understanding. But this is ongoing as well, and this will also end on Thursday, October 23rd. Dust We Inherit is another Kickstarter that's going on currently. I don't know much about this one. I know it's been going on for a bit. Do you know anything about this one?
I checked it out. I cannot speak with authority on it. I thought it looked super cool. And I believe I'm going to pull it up here real quick. I don't know where this one stands in terms of.
They're still working on it. So this is being done by Applied Vectors. If you're familiar with their work, over on Drive Through RPG, they've done. I don't remember what off the top of my head what the other things they've done, because they've done other things before for Savage Worlds that I have really enjoyed. They did the Supernatural Operations Executive and Thorn's Eye, Death World Descent, and Sovereign Stone. That's the one I was thinking of. They did Sovereign Stone for Savage Worlds. So yeah, so take a look at that. This setting is a post-collapse setting for Savage Worlds. So it's like after the collapse of stars, I believe. That's you go. Earth fell. Yeah, okay. Campaign setting book. New heritages, new factions, cultures, etc., etc. Yeah, a lot. Like I said, there's a lot going on right now. So take a look at that. It is going to be a post-collapse setting. So collapse of it sounds like it's a collapse of humanity.
Yeah, it's very much like a sci-fi survival vibe that I'm getting, sort of putting the pieces back together.
Yeah, that's
and I believe the campaign is basically around just funding artwork for the book, that they've had the book written for some time now, in that they're trying to furnish, the art to make it sort of a complete project at this point.
Yeah. So go take a look at that. It does also, I say, it also looks good. It's just, I figure out which ones you want.
Yep.
Next one, this one starts in October. I don't have an exact date. This is Savage Hunter, and this is by BPB. If you know BPB, they've done my favorite bestiary, which is the Simply Savage bestiary that I absolutely love. It's back here on my shelf. I'm going to get it right now because I pull out too many things already. But they're working on something called Savage Hunter, where you're going to be able to hunt monsters, you're going to be able to craft items, you're going to be able to slay monsters. I think hunting and slay kind of seems very maybe duplicative. It seems like duplicating. But either way, I am a fan of their monster design, and I'm hoping that this will just have a lot of monsters that we can incorporate. And I'm hoping that means that their monsters will be in the same similar design as they did in the Simply Savage bestiary, because that bestiary was just so good. I haven't done a review video of it yet, but I need to, because it's just I've been constantly swapping out monsters for monsters in that book instead of using the ones that are actually in my Rise of the Rune Lords game, because I just like these monster designs so much more.
Yeah, this looks like it's going to come with quite a bit of content too. That's definitely something to keep an eye on.
Yeah, and I think it's going to be, if it's like their other, yeah, it does. I'll say that. You're right. It looks great. I'm excited just because I like this publisher already, and I hope this one just goes well as well. So let's see here. Starting on Tuesday, October 14th, the Secret World is doing another Kickstarter for a print version. They did do a print on demand option through Drive-Thru RPG. This is going to be a traditionally published print option. So if you're interested in getting the Secret World in a more traditional publishing style, as well as things like cards and bennies and other sort of like add-ons that you expect from most Savage Worlds games, you can kind of see that in this Kickstarter over on Kickstarter for Secret World. So that's next Tuesday, the 14th of October. Starting on Tuesday, October 21st, is the Pathfinder role-playing game for Savage Worlds, Carrion Crown. Before I kind of go over this, another adventure path for Savage Worlds. I don't think I saw any news of it coming with any other other books. I think it's not like they're not releasing it with a Advanced Player's Guide 3 or a Bestiary 3. It's just this. So if you're not looking for any more campaigns for any more adventure paths for your Pathfinder role-playing game, you're good to go. You don't need to worry about this one. But if you are wanting to more adventure paths, take a look. And then starting on Tuesday, October 21st as well, is Beacon Island from Pear Tree Studio. Woo!
We certainly didn't plan the simultaneous launch there.
Yeah, no, I didn't expect so. But this is going to be a 90s a teen adventure, would you say? Teen, young kid?
Yeah, all teens. Yeah, it's got that youthful vibe, very much inspired from movies I liked as a kid. Things like The Goonies and Dreamcatcher and Super 8, and
I love Super 8.
Things like that. So
not inspired by Scooby-Doo at all.
Of course it has, bits of that, it has to, but I think it's you can run it however you want, but it might be a little bit less serial
sure,
like a Scooby-Doo type of thing.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, Super 8 is definitely one of my all-time favorite movies. So I love the idea of kids on bikes. I don't know why I haven't picked up Pine Box Middle School yet, as far as like kids on bikes style stuff. But I like the art style you've gone with for this. And I know we'll talk more about this until 21st, but it looks good. I'm excited to see it on 21st. But if you want to hear more about this Beacon Island Kickstarter, come back on October 21st where we talk with Pete about that directly.
Yeah, do it.
Also starting soon, I don't think we have an exact date yet, but soon is Scarred Lands for Savage Worlds. Again, we talked about this recently, so we're not going to go too much into this, but we'll go from there. And then launching, this got delayed. Starbeards got delayed till 2026. I don't remember what the exact reason was, but I know that they are working on this still, but they are going to delay this Kickstarter till 2026. We had them on to talk about it, and we can still look forward to it from Fainting Goat Games. Just know that we're going to be waiting until next year to really kick this off.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to be really fun.
Yeah. All right, new products. I whittled this down a little bit because I had too many. But we're going to talk about a few new products real quick. The first one is that Dreadwyld Primer. It is over on Kickstarter for $6 for the PDF. It is 103 pages, so it is a bigger product. And it does look interesting. I'm very curious about this new PowerPoint free magic system. But I'm also curious about new bloodlines and ancestral bloodlines. Interesting. As a different way of putting it than usually putting it ancestries. And new character options like skills. New skills is always interesting to see because you're like, okay, what does that skill actually mean? But also, obviously, edges, hindrances, and powers. Always good to see. And then some 2 new arcane backgrounds. Love seeing that. So take a look at that. The next one is from Jacob Asajuski. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Probably not. There's actually 2 products from him today. This first one is called Academy of Adventure. And reading through this, honestly, this reminds me of Adventure Academy, the actual play from Dimension 20. But basically, you're going to be your adventurers in an academy that is an academy for adventurers. There's going to be some new ancestries and some rules for faculty and students, and some rules on brewing elixirs and all that kind of stuff. So it sounds like a mixture of like Adventure Academy, maybe a little bit of Hogwarts, that kind of stuff. It's a small little book, 38 pages, just a little mini setting to play around with. What's not as small, huh?
That looks fun too.
Yeah, but yeah, it all looks fun. That's the problem. It all looks fun. I don't have enough time to play all this, but it all looks fun. It's frustrating. This one is not a small book, though. This is the Unofficial Steampunk Handbook. Yeah, this is a swag product, but it is 220 pages of content on how you can play steampunk in Savage Worlds. An overview of what steampunk is, its related genres, some new origins or some new edges and hindrances, skills, new ways to apply skills, some different ways to apply steampunk to your settings, some new steam age gear. There's so much stuff. 220 pages of content for this book. So that's just a lot. But it looks good. It looks well done. I will be getting this eventually. My goal is to wait until hopefully he offers a print on demand version. You can see my little question here. Hey, print on demand version. And
that's
then
a great price for that much content too.
And a PDF, yeah. Again, this is the Adventures Guild. This is the community content. This is not an Ace licensee or anything like that. I swear sometimes we get Ace licensee or swag licensees that could definitely take their content and put it into an Ace license. With just like a little bit of tweaking, but this looks good and looks exciting. And the last thing is Claimed by the Abyss for Savage Worlds. This is another swag license product it's an adventure called Claimed by the Abyss for ATS Corinthia, which is a setting for Savage Worlds developed by Luca and Cesare. I did get a copy of this from Luca. I haven't had a chance to look it over yet, so I will be working on a review of that at some point here soon. I do plan on getting. I told him about this already, so I plan on buying it before he gave me a free PDF copy. I still plan on buying a physical copy because it just looks really well done, and I want that book on my shelf. So, yeah, but I'm looking forward to looking through that and seeing what that's like, and I'll let you all know eventually. But this also looks. I just want to make sure that you guys knew about this new adventure for it as well. All right, that is all new products. And last thing to mention is I'm returning to our monthly Ace and Swag licensee spotlight because I want to make sure that you know about third-party publishers making amazing content for Savage Worlds. I still run into products that have been around for a while for Savage Worlds that I did not know about, and I want to make sure that you do know about them. I actually had someone at the convention mention a product that I was not familiar with, and I'll have to pull it back up at some point. And it was even a product that was actually licensed through Pinnacle for a little bit. So, and just had no idea. But this month we are going to be highlighting Sidewinder Recoiled for Savage Worlds from Doghouse Rules. They make cool things such as Trailer Park Shark Attack, the classic convention game that you can play. I've never played it. I want to. My wife wants me to. If you want to play a game where you are constantly going through character sheets and just getting new characters in one session, not like over time. Like the one session you get, you go through like 10 characters. I don't know, it's not that. To like that. But this month we're highlighting Sidewinder Recoiled, and I have both the DM's book, or the main core rule book, and I also have the player's book back there. as well as the plot point, or the plot point adventure for Savage Worlds. So what is this? This is a adventure of the Western frontier. This is a traditional Western RPG.
Yes.
So not Weird West. Nothing weird's going on here. It is trying to take a more historical game for Savage Worlds. The only thing that it says about facts is that the facts should never get in the way of a good story. So if you're interested in playing a more standard, traditional Western role-playing game, this is going to be the game to you. And it actually breaks it into two different kind of centuries, or two different timelines, or just not two timelines, like two parts of history. The early frontier, where you're like going out and you're first finding all this stuff for the first time, like really exploring the frontier for the first time. And then the more of like our traditional, like, hey, there's a bunch of Wild West saloons and your Wild West like towns out there, and you're stopping by each one and you're having shootouts with your 6-shooters and all that kind of stuff. So a lot of cool stuff. We'll definitely get into it a little bit more as we go on through this month, but I want to at least give you a first primer of, hey, if you want a historic Western RPG, this is the one to take a look at.
Yeah, it's definitely one that you can capture the feeling and the tone of some of your favorite Western films. You know, with it. Doghouse Rules is, in my opinion, sort of a gold standard example of a great licensee for products. Everything they do is A+, quality.
Right.
Right down the line.
Hamster Jim in the chat says, says Doghouse Rules is so darn good. He also says that he likes Trailer Park, and he said the Fuzzies. You can remember the kids one's called. It's called Dust Bunnies, and I actually just ordered it last week from Dreadwyld RPG to get me a physical copy. So that will be on the list eventually to talk about as well. And then it's also really good other Western called Shadows and Secret Hills that is strongly recommended. And I'll second that.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you like that. It's I can leak a little information that's going to be expanded upon here in about another month.
Oh, you're how you're too busy with this other project.
I'm busy.
Yeah. All right. So with that, I think it's time to move into our main conversation point.
Yes.
And at this point, I am going to shift from being the host and giving up the control to Pete. And Pete is going to, this is going to be a really weird thing for me because this is my show, but Pete's going to interview me to talk about my experience at the convention I went to over the weekend. So Pete, go ahead.
Here I go. I'm seizing control now. The power is immediately going to my head. I'll see if I can control myself. But the reason we're doing this is because you, as I understand it here, have had your first GM convention experience, and I think also your first player gaming convention experience altogether.
Yes. I technically played in another convention, but it was at an anime convention, and the tabletop role-playing game scene just wasn't very good there. And if I'm honest, that's the only I was going to go with my sister because she really wanted to go, and I went with her, but I just wanted to go play tabletop role-playing games. So there was not many to be played. So this is the first one.
So the RPG stuff was more of an afterthought there.
Yeah. Whereas this one, it was like, this is a big deal. We have, there were lots of several D&D tubers who were running games, like Bob World Builder, Deficient Master, and a few others I can't remember the names of right now. But there was a few others I can remember the names of that were there, but they don't think they were running games.
So the first thing I want to ask you, because I think some of your audience might be in a similar position to you, they might be considering attending a gaming convention for the first time, or perhaps considering running a game at a convention for the first time. So just in terms of the Pittsburgh Gaming Expo, can you give us just a little background? I've never attended this. It wasn't one that is on my radar.
Sure.
Just a little bit of background on this this expo, what it's like, what to expect, and kind of your takeaways overall.
Yeah, so this expo is primarily a retro gaming expo. So it actually started out as a basically like a swap meet for people who are really into retro games, like NES, SNES, Atari, Sega systems, right? And so most of the convention is actually focused around that. It's
So the emphasis here is video games, not tabletop.
Yeah. The emphasis originally was table. That being said, the tabletop portion of it. So this was its 5th year. The tabletop portion of it has grown a lot since then, and so they have actually started to dedicate more and more space to tabletop. Eventually, where they're going to have to find a new venue because it seems to be growing every year. This is my first time going, but I've talked to people who have been here for several years, and they say, yeah, it's grown a lot since their first year, and especially particularly the tabletop role-playing game scene. They've also do a lot more board games now, and I'd say a significant majority of the vendors there were tabletop role-playing game vendors, like as in they're selling either books and stuff, or they're selling dice. We saw several dice makers. We saw people making like journals for D&D and making random knickknacks that accessories for tabletop role-playing games in general. There was someone that was selling like $150 plus sets of dice, and then don't be wrong, they were beautiful dice, but I'm like, these were like expensive dice, and that was what that's what they were doing. So it was so even though like the convention as a whole is technically focused on retro video gaming, and they put a lot of like effort into one portion, there is a lot of tabletop role-playing game as well, and board gaming as well. So if you think about it, tabletop role-playing games are pretty retro in themselves. So
did this convention use some kind of a software or platform to schedule games?
They did not this year. So this year, the way they did it was they put out the sheets basically like ahead of each time slot. They put all a bunch of sheets out, and you would go up and you would write your name in. That being said, they would like to, starting next year, they said actually do like Warhorn or tabletop events or something like that.
Something like that
to schedule their ones going forward. I kind of liked this because I actually signed up for a game, and then because I was done early for one of my other games, I went over to the table and decided I had to switch out which game I was going to play next, because there was an earlier game that I could play in and played that. So I actually just crossed my name off the list of the other one. They had like overflow, hey, if there's anyone that doesn't show up, you can play instead.
Sure.
So I crossed my name off that list and then put myself on the other list and played that game instead. So, there's some pros and cons to doing it that way. I think they're playing, but that's how we did it, to overly answer your question.
No, that's okay. That's not uncommon, especially when you say, this is a developing convention that's kind of still branching out into new sections, moving from video game over to and adding to the tabletop stuff.
Right.
You probably didn't, I would imagine, need to consider the player sign up stuff as much on the video game end, but maybe I'm talking from not really knowing what's going on that end of things.
No, it pretty much all video game stuff. You just walked up to any of the 100 consoles or arcade machines and just played for a bit. Then you move on to try something else. Yeah.
That makes sense. So onto your game specifically.
Yeah.
The first thing is probably a question about decisions you made way before you got to the convention itself.
Sure.
How did you? So you ran City Guard Chronicles, Case of the Missing Daughter. Is that correct?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So shout out to, I believe it's Jetmar.
Jan Jet or Jan Jetmar.
Oh, I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing it.
No, I think it's Jan or Jan. I don't know.
Okay.
Jetty.
Whether you are Jan or Jan, we are fans of you.
Yes.
However your name is pronounced. And City Guard Chronicles is more than just that adventure. It's a collection of adventures, correct?
Yeah. 5 long adventures, and then a lot of one sheets. One of which Hamster Doom did write. So there you go. Yeah. So it's several.
Shout out to Hamster.
Yeah. And
excellent.
It is also a swag product. It's an Adventurers Guild product, not a Ace licensee product.
Awesome. So it's great seeing those things out there being offered in the actual real world of gaming. The reason I brought that up is, what made you choose that particular adventure over any others you might have or have created yourself to be the first game you ran at a convention?
A couple things. So one, I had run it for people before, therefore I'm actually
So
making it easy.
experience
Yeah, experience
or
definitely is a big thing.
confidence, maybe.
Yeah, so I knew what was like things that could happen. I knew the general layout of the adventure. I knew what players may or may not do. I also wanted a game that still felt very fantasy because that's what people are used to. They're used to fantasy, but also have a very clear, like, why are you doing this? You're doing this because you're a city guard member. This is what you do. This is part of your job. The reason I chose it over some of the two other Sea Guard adventures I've run, I've run the Siren Song and I've run the Misguided Lover, is particularly the fight at the very end, because the way I do the fight at the very end is it's a dramatic task during a combat, and I just love dramatic tasks during combats. I think it's one of the best ways to like really get players engaged because it adds that intensity of like having to to figure out something while also trying to fight off monsters. So it's like it makes that combat. We talk about this in our TPK 101 videos about having more going on than just combat, right?
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. Yeah, I use it all the time.
Yeah, so I just really love that ending, if I'm honest. I actually was trying to decide between it and the Misguided Lover because the Misguided Lover I feel is a little bit more investigative. Like you spend more of the adventure investigating, and it's not. There's more kind of threads for people, or more like it's less obvious on where you're supposed to go to next. You have to like make a decision where you're going to go next, and either decision's fine, but it's not super like absolute. You must go this direction. Whereas the Missing Daughter, it's a little bit more clear on like what direction you're supposed to go. From
a little more linear.
Like, yeah, it's a little bit more linear, but the ending is just so. I just love the way it ends with that particular combat, so that's why I chose that one. I have more thoughts, but I'll save it for like.
And one of the things you mentioned is bringing an adventure to the table at a convention that you have some chops with already, that you feel like you're not going into this just with the attitude of let's see what happens, but more of I've experienced this. I sort of know some of the pacing of it and the how I'm going to handle myself in variable situations. Probably goes a long way to your comfort level. I know it certainly does to mine. So that's important, and I think that's for people listening out there that are considering doing this for the first time. I mean, do what makes you happy. If you like to live on the edge a little bit, you can crack the cellophane off of that adventure right there at the table if you'd like. But I would suggest if you want to maybe boost your confidence a little, use something that you've had one or two or more playthroughs of.
Yeah.
You're going to have a whole new cast of players at the table, so nothing's going to be old or repetitive to them.
Right. Yep. Yeah. That was definitely not a concern because even then I played it once through. I know players are going to choose different things, and I probably might accidentally highlight things a little bit differently than I did before, and they'll grab onto that instead of what they got onto previously. So things are not going to go exactly the same way, and that's actually kind of more fun part about it because then you get to start comparing what this group did versus what this group did, and just seeing how creative people can be. So that part's actually just kind of fun.
So now talk to me about when you actually arrive at the expo. You get to the gaming hall or area, wherever it is that you're, scheduled to play. You get to your assigned table. How are you feeling in terms of are you nervous? Do you have concerns? Do you have preconceived notions about how this experience is going to go at that point?
So I had concerns. Yes. I'll talk about why though. A couple.
Okay.
One. At the time I had started set up, I had only one player that signed up to play. Which is like I don't really want to play with one player. I would have.
That is a big concern.
Yeah, I was like, only one player. Okay. But I was just like, you know what? Maybe some people will sign up or show up, and it'll be okay. Just keep going. I also had spent a lot of that week printing terrain for the 3D printing, that is, terrain for the final boss
cool.
fight. I wanted to like have like this really epic, like, hey, unveil, like here's where the final boss is final fight's happening.
Yeah,
We're
set
gonna
piece combat.
yeah, like here we go. And so just putting that together was a little annoying because the pieces I chose to print just were not as well. They just didn't go together as well as I'd like them to be. Anyways, as far as I'm feeling with the adventure, I was feeling pretty good actually. Not like I was trying to get a bunch of stuff out. I was trying to make sure I had everything ready. I definitely over prepared. I printed out a lot of material, not just like 3D print, but also like printing out material. Like I printed out the up to 4 players comic that's like 2-sided, explains the basics of how to play Savage Worlds. I printed out one of the cheat sheets that a Adventurers Guild member put out, and I had that out and ready for players. Yeah. But sorry, to answer your question, how I was feeling. Yeah, a little bit nervous, a little excited, a little bit ready, kind of just like to get this kind of an element to get this over with, but also like just ready. Let's do it, and hopefully I'll get more players. And I did. I eventually did get more players.
How many players did you end up with?
I ended up with 4 players. So it was one player signed up. Yeah, I ended up with 1 player who signed up, and then 3 other players who all knew each other came later. The one guy I'll say that the leader of that 3 group had an interest in playing Savage Rifts. And so when he saw Savage Worlds, he said, oh, this will be a good, little bit of a primer for me to learn what Savage Worlds is like to see if I'm interested in playing Savage Rifts.
Oh, that leads me into my next question, which was, did you know the breakdown of the Savage Worlds experience of the players at your table? I've ran 100 convention games in the Northeast United States.
That's insane, by the way.
And I still have many players, maybe the majority, that are not familiar with Savage Worlds when they sit down at my table.
Yeah. So the guy that signed up, he had played Savage Worlds before, and the what he conveyed to me was that he never gets a chance to play because everyone's playing D&D or Pathfinder. And so finding a group for him is just hard. Sure. So actually, one of the things he asked me is like, hey, do you actually have like a regular group that you play this with? I'm like, I do, but we've been playing since college together. We started out with D&D, and then we eventually transitioned to Savage Worlds because I was the game master and I'm in charge. So he played Savage Worlds before. He was very familiar. The one guy was interested. He had heard about it because of Savage Rifts, and the other 2 had never played and never heard about Savage Worlds at all.
Mm-hmm. That is a very typical breakdown for me, where I'll sit down to a group of 4 to 6 people at a table, and I always ask, does anyone have any familiarity with this? At each convention, I get 1 or 2 people who say, yeah, I've been playing Savage Worlds forever. I like Deadlands, and I like this, and I like that. And they know exactly what they're talking about. They know more, about the details of the rules than I do. But by and large, I get people who say, yeah, I think I played it once 5 years ago. Is this the one with the poker chips? Is sort of the level that they've got. And so you have to sort of make a calculation at the outset of the session, how much teaching needs to be a part of the gameplay, right?
Yeah.
I sort of have a 5-minute primer I do at the top of the session pretty much every time. And I end it with, there's a whole rule book full of rules. We're not going to worry about any of those unless they come up, just ask me as we go.
Yeah. I actually, as part of my prep, I watched pretty much every video from a Savage Worlds GM. So Eric over at Savage Worlds GM on running Savage Worlds at a con, including the video that you were in with him. I did bring my core rulebook. I think I only had a reference it once. And then I also had like 3 of the players' books out, so people, if they wanted to reference something, they could.
Yeah, very good. That all makes sense. So it sounds like you had a very typical Savage Worlds GM experience in terms of player breakdown,
right?
Number of players that showed up, and their experience level. That all seems very typical to me.
Mm-hmm.
I want to ask you about what you felt once you got into the gameplay was the biggest challenge, if there was one, that you faced in the 4-hour, or I'm assuming maybe it's a 3 or 4 hour time slot. And also to counterpoint that, was there anything that went especially well for you there?
Yeah. So the one problem that I think everyone who's run a game at a convention is going to recognize, because I've heard this before from other people, is that it is loud in there, and so you need to talk louder so people can hear you. And you also sometimes have to encourage players to speak up. I had one particular player that was a little bit quiet, and it was hard for me to understand and hear. I had to like lean in and focus really hard to make sure I could hear what he was saying. So that was probably the only big challenge. As far as players themselves, they kind of grasped the rule from the the 1-page comic that I gave them, from up to 4 players. They seem to grasp the rules fairly straightforward. They had some questions. They'd have some questions about their abilities and stuff, and I maybe I have to explain that real quick. For the pre-gens, they're is this a free action? Do I do this on my turn? That kind of thing. And often the shortened versions of abilities don't fully explain the rules of that particular ability. So I had to answer a few of those questions, but otherwise things went pretty smoothly. Everyone seemed to understand pretty quickly. Yep, I take this die and I roll it, and I resolve. Acing was understood pretty easily.
Right.
So the second part of the question was what things went really well.
Yeah.
The one player was really good at applying his hindrance, and I was. And there's a few other people who started trying to apply for hindrances, and I gave out more bennies than I do in my normal sessions for sure. And
good,
but the one guy just did a great job role playing his hindrance, and it just came out really well. And then players were responding to it, and it was just
feeding off that. Yep.
Yeah, and I loved it. It was just good to. It's always just good to have some good role playing at a table, regardless of where you can almost ignore essentially what the system is saying and just play without any regards for what the system is saying.
Yeah, that's when it's easy. That's when it's just everything's just kind of rolling and moving along, and everybody's sort of cooperating in the whole process. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, you're fast. I was going to say, and the nice thing about the pre-gens is the pre-gens are made for this adventure, and so far there is not necessarily, I'll say, obvious ways to incorporate their hindrances and edges into the story or the background in the story, but there was a availability to do so for the players engaged enough. And so the player who was role playing off their hindrance, it really did feed into what the adventure was. And same thing with the one other guy. He had a connection to somebody in the outfit, and during the adventure they went and talked to the outfit, so there was a connection there, and that was
yeah
cool.
When you're developing pre-gens, whether you're publishing or not publishing for a game, especially a one-shot at a convention, those hindrances have to have some way to relate to the actual game you're going to play. I couldn't, generate a character with a hindrance phobia of snakes, for example, and then run a one-shot where there's just no snakes or references to snakes. It's just kind of lazy work at that point if you're doing it that way. So
yeah,
it's good to make sure that there's a connection. I'm glad to hear that the first thing you said in terms of challenges was noise, because it is the first thing everybody says. And noise is a problem. People have different tricks they have to try and deal with it. I've seen folks with microphones and tour guide earpieces and all sorts of crazy stuff. But generally, you just have to talk louder and really lean in and listen to your more soft-spoken players.
Wait. I gotta pause for it. Deficient Master is in the chat, and I just wanted to say hi. And yes, I did play. I did play a really quick
I have
game.
A feeling you might have played in one of his games, maybe.
I did play one of his games.
It seemed like a setup comment there.
100%. Hey man, hope you're doing well. I got your signature right here, so now I can forge it.
Good.
It just
so yeah, the number one thing that I hear is about noise. The number 2 challenge that everybody has is pacing, and so I wanted to ask you about that. You had some kind of fixed time window. So I want to ask you what you thought about your ability to pace that adventure inside that time slot.
Yeah, so the time slot was 4 hours, 6 to 10.
Okay.
And I think we were done around 9. I last time I run this adventure, it did take about 4 hours, a little bit over 4 hours. So I was worried that was one of the things I was worried about. I was like, oh, make sure I might have to like figure out where I'm gonna need to skip things, right? Like one
Yep.
part of my planning was what am I gonna have to skip or what can I skip along the way? I didn't
Yep.
have to skip anything. Um, the players just kind of kept going enough when they're and one of the things that I do with my normal group, and I did with this group as well, was I said, hey, what were your stars and wishes from this game? What are the things you liked? What were the things that you wish I would have done differently? And they didn't have anything that they wish for, which I told them like, hey, please don't hesitate to be critical. I want to be better. And he's like, no, like they're like, really, like you did a good job. And the thing that they commented on was that the pacing was good. They felt like the pacing was just kept going, kept moving. I didn't allow for any like lulls. That being said, I felt like I allowed for some lulls. There were some
Mm.
times where I was like, okay, there's no one's role playing right now. No one's making a decision on where to go next. And I maybe like filled in. There's sometimes I kind of hesitate. I'm always hesitant to like fill in because you want the players to be the ones proactive about it.
Mm.
But it was overall, yeah, it went really well. There was no problems pacing, and the players could kind of just picked up on like what they're supposed to do and just went for it. They didn't really go off into side quests or like um non I shouldn't say that. There were definitely some things that they went and did that was not in the book. There was definitely some like side things in the adventure, like you could go this way or you could go this way instead of like the main way. They didn't do that, but they also did go off on a few like random things. Like they were really curious about a certain character and where they wanted to like dig into like their backstory to figure out if they're doing if they were evil or whatever. That was not in the part was part of the book.
Mm.
No, it's not fully. So
And so
yeah.
you had a 4-hour time slot. You actually got the gameplay done in 3 hours. Was there
Mhm.
any type of break in that session, or is that just straight through?
Uh, we did take a like 5-10 minute break for a bathroom break. Yeah. I don't remember why I took it. It was like right before we started a big section. I
Yep.
was like, hey, we're gonna take a break, and
Yep.
please, yeah, I'm gonna make sure we're all good. Make sure you're ready to go. I'll get a few things laid out, and then yeah. So yeah, it was like a 10-minute break for bathroom.
Perfect. And I was going to ask you about, did you solicit feedback? Because that's something I'm always after, and it's very, very tricky. You sometimes can get almost no feedback at all, other than what I would call polite people being polite, which is for me a little hard to interpret.
Sure.
Um, and then every once in a while, you get some very outspoken people, and they will. For lack of a better word, eviscerate your your performance for you. And I take those as well, as well as everything else I get, and it all sort of goes in the bank. And I kind of take what I can to improve out of it. But you said generally feedback was positive there.
Yeah. All the feedback was positive. I mean, I even pushed a little bit to like, hey, like, please give me any critical feedback. Otherwise, he's like, no, man, I get it. One of the guys was like, no, man, I get it. Like, if you want to get better, you need critical feedback. But honestly, I don't got anything. I think part of it was also that, at least for two of the people, they said, they don't have anything critical to say, but also they don't know the system very well. But they didn't feel like they didn't feel like they didn't have a handle on how to play. They felt like they knew what they were supposed to do and how to do it. So
And that's okay, because you're going to run a lot of games for people who don't have a frame of reference for Savage Worlds at
right,
conventions. But if their feedback is that they had an excellent convention gaming experience to them,
right,
that's valuable, because that's what you're trying to create. Remember
yeah,
that you don't control who signs up for your games, whether they're veteran, longtime players or have never heard of the game before. So the real for me, the real measure is, did the people at the table have a good 4 hours playing a game, whether they know it inside out or not?
right,
Was it a positive experience? And that's what I'm trying to determine. So those people's feedback is valuable,
right.
because about half the time, those are the folks you're going to be running for. So yeah, that's very good. So, and then your feedback on the session overall and the experience as a game master running Savage Worlds at a big loud convention. What was your overall takeaway from that, and would you do it again?
Yeah. So my overall takeaway is okay. Probably shouldn't really worry about printing out. Spending the whole entire week stressing about printing out all the terrain for the final fight.
Okay, all right.
Otherwise, I was kind of happy with how I did everything. Like, I think that the printing out the few extra materials so people could like quickly read through a comic to understand how the game worked and get the sheet on like the options they had. I think that was all really good. The one thing I might change is I might change what what setting I run next time.
Of course. Okay. Yeah. I mean, you've got lots of options to change it up.
Yes. Specifically, I might just do Deadlands. The reason for that is because one of the things I was worried about, or I think people didn't sign up for the Adventure 4, was because they saw Savage Worlds and they don't know Savage Worlds. They see Seagull Chronicles, they don't know what that is. But the thing that I think some of us probably recognize is that there's a sense in which Deadlands has more recognition than Savage Worlds does. Deadlands pre-exists Savage Worlds, but it's also a setting inside of the Savage World system, all that kind of stuff. So I think I might try running a Deadlands adventure next time to see if I get more draw from people.
You certainly will cash in on the notoriety of that IP.
Right.
That's a real thing. You will also get typically a class of player that's been around longer and remembers Deadlands from way back. Usually, it's a great setting to run. I noticed Hamster of Doom commented here that he gets a family that keeps coming back to his games, which he finds to be delightful. He says,
yeah.
That happens as you return to the same conventions year after year and run different things. You start to see the same last names pop up on tabletop.events or whatever.
Sure.
And it's because players also run some risk when they go to conventions and they sign up for 4 hours of their life to be in a game session with someone they don't know.
Yeah.
And most of the time that person is a capable, delightful person and it's going to be a great experience, but sometimes it might just not be their cup of tea. So when players find GMs where they've had a really good experience, especially gaming groups like families or friend groups that attend conventions together, which is very common, they will frequently remember your name. And then when game signups come around the following year, they'll type your name in and see what you're running and sign up for some. So that's another way to know that you're at least doing it right for some people's tastes.
Right. Yeah, I think let's say next year I'll probably try to push the SavageGoose brand a little bit more. When I signed up, I just put Joshua next time, but like, hey, can we get SavageGoose in there a little bit?
Yeah,
I think what I'd like to do is just, like do Deadlands next year, just to like, hey, people who like go, oh wait, I've heard of Deadlands, get them in. Because I do think that there's like one other person that runs Savage Worlds at this event, and I didn't get to meet them or anything. But I'd like to see more. Part of my goal is to get people to try Savage Worlds. That's part of what. Actually, when I talked to Deficient after our game that he ran for us, we talked about like what's our intent, and like my intent is for people to try Savage Worlds. I want people to try this system because I think it's a great system. So if that's my goal, I want to get something that people are going to go, oh wait, I've heard of that. Let's take a look at that. Theoretically, on that same guise, I should try running like riffs, but if I'm honest, I'm a little scared to run riffs. So
yeah. And so I think you also answered my follow-up question there because you're already talking about next year. So I think that means that you would go again.
Yeah. I'll definitely go again. I'll definitely like sign up to run a game next year, and I'll probably just keep running different games every year because like I would love to run Street Wolves. I'd love to run Vermilion. I don't want to just run Deadlands. I might like run Deadlands next year so people recognize it, and then maybe after that start running different settings going from there. One of those 2 times running the Assyrian hybrid.
There you go.
or Beacon
I
Island.
appreciate the plug.
By the time this convention comes around again, I can run Beacon Hill.
There you go.
Beacon Island. Sorry.
You can call it Beacon Hill if you want.
No, I'll put it. I'll honestly put it in the mountains, and it's just going to be Beacon Hill instead.
There you go. Lynn in the chat, who I just want to make a quick shout out. Lynn is the artist for the upcoming Beacon Island, not Beacon Hill project coming to Kickstarter. She pointed out that she runs her own games, and the idea of playing a new system with an experienced GM is interesting. I couldn't agree more, because when I test out, when I'm considering playing a new game or picking up the books for a new system, one of the first things I do is look it up at a convention I'm attending and try to get into a game and see what the gameplay is like, what game masters, usually GMs I know of, are doing with it and how they manage it. And I like to sit in a game, and that really helps me decide, is this something that would fit the style of how I run games or not, and whether I want to actually purchase that stuff. So, yeah, that's important as well.
Yep. Yeah, for sure. Like I said, one of the players was coming to play because he wants to play Savage Rifts and want to know what Savage Worlds is like. So,
yep. And so he got his foot in the door.
Yeah, there you go. Does that lead us into the games I played instead of the game that I ran?
Yes. So I'm obviously, as the forever GM, kind of obsessed with that portion of it, but I guess I'll listen to you talk about the games you played.
I mean, we don't have to. If you have more questions, we can talk about those first. But
no, absolutely. Because one thing that I notice is I always try to play one or two games per convention if I can. It's usually closer to one, not two.
Sure.
And I not almost every time I take something away.
Sure.
Hey, look how that GM, look how she handled that. Look at this visual aid this person created. Look at the way they presented this information. And even sometimes, there's something I want to be sure I don't do. It does go either way, but I always take something away that I think is helpful from that perspective. And also, I just have a good time usually playing some game with my buddies. So what did you play and how did it go?
So the first game I played was Neon Lords of the Toxic Wasteland. I'm sure you've heard that game before. So I have. I got this nice little bracelet. The author was there. They didn't run the game, but there was the author of the book was there.
They've run a lot of convention games up in my neck of the woods.
Yeah, and they had like an exclusive copy of the book for PGX, which was kind of cool.
Oh, cool.
But so they were there. I ran a game of that. It was a Halloween adventure thing where it's just like basically like a game show maze type deal. So we did a lot of combat, a lot of playing. That was fun. We had 3 players, and we were basically like all playing as essentially barbarians. We weren't actually all barbarians, but we all played like barbarians. And it was fun. It's definitely not I don't think it was my cup of tea as far as like a game system I would pick up to run long term, but I had fun, and that's all that really matters. Definitely it has a little more OSR feel to it.
I was gonna say, yeah.
And there were some things I liked about it, but yeah, overall, I'm like, not my cup of tea. Although the neon aesthetic, like retro future, but in the future, looking back, that was an aesthetic. I was like, okay, that's kind of cool. I like that, but other than that, I probably wouldn't pick it up. That game only took us for about 2 hours, and so I was able to jump in with a friend of mine who goes to church, I go to church with, and he's really into OSR games as well.
Mm-hmm.
But he's probably not into like that kind of OSR. He's more into like more simple OSR, like Cairn, Knave, and Shadow Dark. So we were looking at the games that started at 4:00, and I was originally scheduled to play with Bob World Builder at 6 for Dungeon Crawl Classics. But we saw a game what Deficient was running. He only had 1 player signed up, and we were like, well, we can both play right now together. It was a Shadow Dark game. So we went and played Shadow Dark with Deficient, which was a lot of fun. He did something really cool in which he incorporated a Jenga tower into the game.
Yep.
Which everyone says, oh, he's even said like, because I said like, oh, like Dread, and he's like, yes, but no. He says he gets that a lot. You know, you see Jenga
Yes, but
Tower in
not
RPG,
really.
you see Jenga Tower in RPG, you think Dread.
Of course.
Yeah, which is a great game. I think I even asked him if he'd played Dread. I think he said no. So if you're still in the
that's
chat,
funny.
if you're still at that in the chat. Well, he's also done those videos where it's like D&D, but actually it's Monopoly, or D&D, but it's actually Uno. I'm sure you watch those videos, but they're pretty good. I watched the Uno one. I haven't watched the Monopoly one, but apparently the Monopoly one is actually like more popular, according to what he told me about his stats. But anyways, the thing he talked about, so the game was a heist game. It was a Shadow Dark heist game where we were trying to steal something from I'll say a community college, essentially, for wizards. And they were having a big event. And it's because it's a heist game. He said that one thing he talked about is that what he hated for heist games was players spend 2 hours planning a heist and doing all the prep, and then they roll one. They go in, they roll their first stealth roll, they fail, and now all their planning is ruined. So what he did instead was he said, "Hey, you're going to come up with a couple things that you're going to come up with." He gave us each special ability. So I was the charlatan. One of our players was the mind reader, and the other one was, or not mind reader, the really smart person. I can't remember the name of the class.
Intellectual.
Yeah, the person that like the mastermind. There we go. The mastermind, and then the pack rat. And so so each of those gives different abilities to pull from the Jenga tower. Additionally, whenever we failed a roll that could theoretically cause a disturbance and people who would notice our presence, we could take a pull from the tower as well. And essentially that would negate the fact that we would have been noticed.
Oh, so the mechanic of the Jenga tower was if you're good enough, you can fudge or buff some rolls. Is that correct?
Basically, like whenever the Jenga tower fell, that's when we were actually noticed. That's when we actually got discovered. It never fell. That means that we did get discovered because of some really bad rolls, which we can talk about. But it was a way to like for us to basically say, yes, we failed, but no one noticed us in that time of failure. And it also gave us some other abilities. So like the mastermind was able to basically use it kind of like in Blades of Dark, where you can role play a scene that happened before that you had done sort of planning ahead of time, and you make a pull from the tower to say, nope, I didn't actually. I planned for this, and this is what I did, and stuff going around it. The charlatan, my character was able to basically, by taking a pull, add in some sort of emotional or personal, like to any sort of NPC, like or relationships between like certain characters to any NPC we ran into. Be like, oh, I can pull and say, well, that guard there is actually a drinking buddy of mine from the bar. So that's what like how we did it. It was like making polls to like do certain abilities. The pack rat, it was basically you can make a poll anytime we needed a specific item. So if you want to say, oh, I packed this, he could pull it and he'd pull out his pack. And
so it gives me sort of Benny feeling.
Yeah, a little bit.
When I think about it through the Savage Worlds lens.
Yeah, a little bit, but it's definitely like, had a little more intensity to it because it's not just spend a penny. It's
there's risk.
Yeah, there's a huge risk if we fail. And so that was just a really cool. I told him he needs to do a video about it so I can steal the idea. Like, because I want his fully fleshed out version because he's clearly thought about this a lot more than I have, and I want to have his fully fleshed out version so I can steal it for other games. Especially for a one shot. Like I mean, honestly, like the Jenga Tower mechanic only really works in one shots. Dread is a one shot game. You don't do anything else with it. You don't play Dread for a campaign. It's a one shot. But it was just a really brilliant idea. Or even like for, I guess you could theoretically say it's a single heist. Like, we're going to do this heist. We have to finish this heist in this session. It can be part of a larger campaign, but you need to use the Jenga Tower. So yeah, that was just a really cool idea. And it was also my first time playing Shadow Dark. I did back Shadow Dark to get the Western Reaches stuff and all the stuff that comes with it. But I haven't gone that yet. So it was my first time playing Shadow Dark, and it was a lot of fun.
Nice.
My friend of mine who went and played with me, he's like an OSR player, so he definitely had a way different way of going about playing this game than I did. Okay. Like, reaching for like any sort of resource that he gets hands on, like taking someone's pearls. It's like we knocked someone unconscious, took their pearls. He was going to use them to like throw down in case someone like ran after us and like trip him up or something. He took a bag of sand from the garden. He took a mirror as one of his items that we took on this adventure with us. And most of the time, the things that he took were things that we end up using.
Came in handy at some point.
Yeah, the only thing that didn't come in handy was a pair of garden shears that he took, which we all had daggers. So, yeah. But it was just like, it was clear to everyone, like there's 3 of us players and then Deficient, and the 3 players, like he definitely knew. It was clear that he knew how to play OSR games, whereas the other 2 of us were still getting our heads around it. But also our dice did not roll well for us.
Okay. Well, there's nothing you can do about that. I've got my first Shadow Dark game in about 2 weeks here that I'm really looking forward to. I've read through the core rule books.
It's so well laid out. The layout in that book is so good.
Yeah, I would describe it as elegant. And easy to understand. It leaves a lot of room for creativity in how you run it, and it doesn't overcomplicate things.
Yeah. The big thing for the layout, though, for me, and this is something I'm going to say to publishers in general, all publishers, that they do in the Shadow Dark core rules that other people should probably take note of, is they never split a stat block on multiple pages or multiple columns. They never split a spell onto multiple pages or multiple columns. Basically, any rule that's in the book is not split across multiple pages. So if you look through, if you have your core book, just look through it again. Like you'll see that I'm
gonna have to spot check that when I go upstairs today. Yep.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. So it was a good time, and I got to talk to Deficient, which is also like just cool. Like,
one of the biggest things about gaming conventions that people maybe that don't attend them don't think of is that beyond just the games that are played, there's a social aspect and a sense of community that is really, really sort of special.
Mm-hmm.
And especially if you've been doing this for a while, some of these people, you've ended up spending a lot of time with them, but only in one place, one time a year.
Right.
I feel like I have friends that, in 2 weeks, I'm going to go up to Vermont to a convention here. And I have friends that I feel, very lucky to know. And I always hang out with them, in between game sessions and at night and stuff. And that's the only time I see them.
Yeah.
And it's a great thing. And it's a great way to build community. The tabletop gaming community in general, I have found, is by and large very welcoming, very open, really looking to get the next generation of players going. So that's another thing. If people are considering conventions for their first time as a GM or as a just an attendee or a player.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There's so much beyond the games there that is of personal value that I would recommend.
Yeah, it makes me want to go to more conventions.
Sure.
Gamehole Con's coming up soon, I think, and I'm like, oh, man, I want to go to Gamehole Con because I know that's a convention that a lot of Savage Worlds people go to.
I think I'm going to that next year. And that's in Madison, if I'm remembering correctly. I have not been to it yet. I believe I'm going to that one in October of next year.
See, that's what I'll probably have to figure out. It's like, what am I going to go to? So if you want to help me get to these conventions, you can use like the donate button down below. You can buy stuff through Drive-Thru RPG. That'd be great. Really helpful.
Help them out.
Yeah. Help me get to the. That's pretty much what it's going to be though. So in order to get to these conventions, I'm going to have to pay for these conventions out of my the money I make from doing this. So, but I do want to get to them and run. I'd love to run some games. So, and usually if you run a game, like at least this convention, if you ran a game, you got in to the convention for the weekend for free. So, I know that there's
different conventions have different ways that
right.
they break that down, but they all have some form of that. Yeah.
Yeah, so at some point I want to get to that. Either game, I want to get to Game HomeCon, and I want to get to Origins, since Origins is just over in Columbus for me, so it's not very far away. There's also a few near me. There's another one near me in Butler that I would like to get to, and it's just a matter of like getting to it. So, yeah,
Very good.
it's actually smaller than the one I just went to, though. So, yeah,
Small's
but yeah,
not bad. Small
no,
does
yeah,
not
yeah,
mean bad.
no, not bad for sure. Just means it's just gonna be different. But I do want to get to some of these other conventions, especially the ones that have more of a Savage Worlds presence, so I can meet some of you lovely folk on the stream and
Absolutely
talk Savage Worlds and talk shop there and play in some.
Yep.
One of the things I'd love to do is actually play in a Savage Worlds game that's run by somebody else, so I can get a feel for what other people do and how other people run Savage Worlds games. So,
yep, that's huge.
Yep. So, yeah.
Do you have any final thoughts on Pittsburgh Gaming Expo or your experience as a now veteran convention game master?
I feel like I'm still a novice. I think I may have my first advance in novice, but I'm still a novice. I mean, Final Thoughts, no, it was a good convention. I'll definitely do it again next year. The people were great. Had a good time, and my only hope is that I'll see more some more fellow D&D tubers, just because that was fun to do. I did give Bob Worldbuilder a copy of the player's book so that he can run a game, because he said in one of the videos recently that he'd never played Savage Worlds. He kept seeing it in the Kickstarter list. He never played it. I'm like, well, here you go. Here's a copy of the player's rule book. You get
no excuses.
No excuses now. Yep. And then I definitely fangirled a little bit. We were talking to a friend of mine, and we were walking around after playing the game with Deficient, and Deficient was with Baron, and Baron Drop was walking past us, and Baron was like, "I like your shirt." I was like, "Nice." Baron Drop just said he liked my shirt.
Very cool. Very cool. I can tell by talking to you that it was a great experience for you, and you're so involved. You're so involved in the world of tabletop gaming that it's just like, it's silly that you haven't been to one already. So I'm so happy for you that you've gotten one and that it's expanded your enjoyment of the hobby.
My goal is definitely going to be to get to more next year.
Good for you.
This being away for all summer definitely took a lot of like my PTO out.
Sure.
So my goal is definitely to get to more, and one of my other goals is going to be to, if you guys haven't noticed, I have been doing better about making videos recently. I have another video coming up this week, and I'm trying to get more content out there so you guys can see it, and most importantly, you guys can see it and can learn more things from what I'm learning. But also, as I can grow this channel, it means I can get to more of these things and try to spread Savage Worlds at more of these conventions. I want to run games so that people can learn about Savage Worlds, because I love the system and I want people to know about it. So, yeah.
Great, man. I'm so happy for you. I think this is a great step for you. I'm glad it went well, and I'm looking forward to seeing you at a convention one day now.
Yeah. I am going to go through the chat real quick, just because there was a few things here. Man. Hamster Jim's always talking. Thank you so much, Hamster Jim, for all your support. You're so kind. What was the coolest book you saw at the convention, and did you think maybe I can convert this to Savage Worlds? So like I said, the convention was mostly retro gaming, so there wasn't a lot of other books. Most of the books were just D&D books. Like I saw the starter set from for D&D, the new one that came out, and I will say I'm tempted to buy that just because I want to see how they're doing their starter set. I really want to get Pinnacle on at some point to talk about their starter set that they've mentioned that they're going to be working on. Because I think a starter set is something that is probably way overdue for Savage Worlds, and I'm glad they're finally doing it. But also I'm curious to know like what Tales from the Borderlands or Keep the Borderlands is going to be like in 5e, and then probably convert that to Savage Worlds. As far as like other things, as far as like other books, nothing. There still wasn't a whole lot for me to comment on, so I can't really say there was like anything. I was like, oh, I want to convert this to Savage Worlds. For the most part, that wasn't really anything there. Let's see here. Hamster Jim's saying he's a garbage artist. Got it. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Good. Oh, here we go. Oh, Division is still here. Hey, bud. What's your elevator pitch for playing Savage Worlds over other systems? Okay. Ooh, you're putting me on the spot. So my big thing for Savage Worlds is that there's no HP bloat. So the big so there's a couple things. I have a whole entire video. I think I told you about this, but it's a whole entire video about 5 reasons I hate D&D, and it's basically like why I like Savage Worlds instead, like why I like over it. So big pitch is there's no HP bloat. Everyone has the same amount of wounds. Wounds have consequences. They're small consequences. They're not huge. They're not like things that you can't overcome. But there's consequences for having wounds. I think it puts the players in a much more heroic state, much more pulpy, much more the center of attention, much more the protagonist of the story. It's a classless system for the most part, so you can basically create whatever character you want. There is not almost any restrictions around what you can or cannot create. You can come up with an idea and you can pretty much create it. There are hindrances in the game, and I like hindrances because it gives your character some backstory elements that actually also provides game mechanics. So like there's things that you're gonna take that are wrong with your character, and that you don't have to take anything that's wrong with your character. It's an optional thing. That's also the nice part. It's like you don't have to be anything wrong, but by taking things that are wrong with your character, you can make your character more interesting in other ways with edges and bonuses or skills or whatever. What am I missing? I'm missing something. Pete, what am I missing?
Well, I'm gonna switch it and say this is not my pitch for playing Savage Worlds. It's my pitch for running it.
Sure.
And the big thing there is that I can create many, almost without limit, variations of gaming experiences.
And it's so easy to do. It's not hard.
Yeah, with the grand total of about 30 pages of actual mechanical rules or something like that. And the flexibility is great. And I can pick and pull what applies to the tone and the mood and the gaming style I'm trying to have at that table that evening.
Right.
And so for me as a creative person, it's just it just makes my life easier. I don't have to go to a different rule set or cross-reference this or get things confused in my head. That versatility just allows me to keep doing what I want to do.
Savage Worlds is a system that's so versatile that you can play. And the thing I always use example is you can play Battle Lords. It's like high mech gritty game, lots of rules, lots of crunch. In the use the Savage Worlds as the system, or you can play Dust Bunnies, where you're literally playing as little cute things under the couch, and neither setting feels wrong with Savage Worlds.
No, they don't suffer from the choices that were made there.
Right.
It's just what pieces of core you decide to pick up or leave on the shelf, and what additional components you decide to install to get that feeling and that play style you're trying to achieve.
Yeah. So the video I'm releasing this week is on relativity, Einstein's theory of relativity, and essentially just what is actually, or what's often one of the problems with combat or a role-playing game, and it's about players being bored. I feel that Savage Worlds, and this is maybe the furious part of Savage Worlds, maybe the fast nature is the fast, furious, fun nature of Savage Worlds is that the way the game is, the versatility of the game also ensures that players tend to stay better engaged.
Yeah.
So, Venkel mentions the custom setting rules and card-based initiative as one of the favorite things. Yeah, I do really like. That's one of the things I do enjoy about Savage Worlds is the card-based initiative. People think it takes. There's some people who argue it takes just as long. It takes longer than like the other issue systems, but honestly, even if it does, I'm not sure. I don't agree that it does, but even if it does, dealing out cards is more engaging, and so people don't feel like it takes longer because they're so excited to see what cards everyone's getting.
Yeah, wait till you have a really tense dramatic task at the end of one of your games, and people are just waiting to see if clubs are being dealt. I mean, people will be standing from their chairs hoping the next card is not
got dealt.
club.
Yeah. Or to see just like the sheer excitement that happens when a Joker is dealt, and everyone gets another Benny, or the knife to the heart and twist when the enemy gets a Joker. Like, oh no, it makes like literally dealing initiative a dramatic moment in the game. instead of just okay, roll initiative. Like that's the one thing I hate about D&D is that you'll say, okay, and roll for initiative, and everyone gets excited for a little bit, but then it's just like, okay, everyone rolls, they figure out the modifier, and then DM has to go around and get it figured out. And it's like you can't just jump into the action. It's not like, all right, we're doing initiative, ace, it just a little more drama to it than just rolling. So it's just yeah.
It seems more like gambling.
Okay, I don't know if I want to be sponsoring that segment, but you get the idea. But yeah, it's just it's the versatility of the game. I am never like, I'm gonna try other games. I like playing other games. I'm gonna try other games. I'm gonna try Shadow Dark. I bought Shadow Dark. There's other games I want to play and try, but when it comes to like my main system, I cannot see myself leaving Savage Worlds because I can play pretty much any setting, any genre that my heart desires, and change out, adjust the rules because they're just so modular in that way, and I'll be able to do it. I'm not worried about being able to, like, I'm going to get the feeling of my game from the rules. Hi Frank. Yes, I did play another game this way. I played Shadow Dark and I played Neon Lords of the Toxic Wasteland. I am down to play, and I play D&D like 2 to 3 times a month, depending, because that's the main system that everyone else plays. But my weekly game that I run is Savage Worlds. So very good. And I need to run more one shots. So, that's all my thoughts. I think that's all I got.
I think we got it. I think we nailed it.
Yeah, I think that's the thing.
Yeah.
Run convention games. You'll have fun. You'll meet new people. Maybe you'll meet me. Come play at PGX. We can definitely get along and talk shop or whatever. And Frank says yes. It says yes. I know the pain of people only playing D&D. Yeah. The problem is that, like, amongst the group of friends I have at church, D&D is the only one we all have in common as like a referral point. My one friend, his preferred system is Pathfinder First Edition. My other friend, his preferred system is Carrion. My preferred system is Savage Worlds. And then we have one other friend whose preferred system is just D&D because he hasn't really had he played 3.5. I think he likes 5th edition better, but he has no desire to play 2024 D&D. So it's mostly just, D&D 2024 is the one that we all can like agree to play. Although the Carrion player and myself are trying to maybe wiggle in Shadow Dark as the preferred system instead of 5e, but we'll see.
There you go.
Right. The irony of I was saying the people at church only play D&D. Like,
yeah, I didn't want to comment on that, but that is hilarious.
What you don't know is that our pastor has played D&D back during the Satanic Panic.
Wow.
And his dad was a pastor back then. Like, his dad was a pastor back then, and he played D&D during the Satanic Panic, and I played with him. We played D&D together.
That's so funny.
So yeah, the amount of, I think I have to take my shoes off to count how many people play D&D in our church. And we're not exactly like a large church. Like we're for our denomination, we're large, but like, I don't go to some like sort of mega church with like thousands of people.
Right.
We just have a lot of people who play D&D.
So the percentage is unusually high.
It is unusually high. It is definitely like an obscure thing. That's like, we have like so many players, and almost all of them are parents too. Of like kids, like my kids' age.
It's that age. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, we're all a bunch of millennials essentially playing D&D.
That's awesome.
So,
that's great.
But yeah, it's and I know there's like multiple groups that I'm not even a part of that are within our church body who are playing. So it's if hey, you know what? This will be a weird plug, but if you want to find people to play D&D with, maybe try church.
I love it. All those folks that say they can't get a home group going,
Hey, I've got 3 groups. I got one monthly group, one every other week group, and then one weekly group, and all of them involve people from my church. So there you go.
There you go.
Anyways, I think that's it. I think we're good. Thank you all for. I'm going to take hosting abilities back if that's okay. Just
all right. I'll begrudgingly relinquish.
Thank you all for hanging out. Thank you for Deficient for hanging out and coming on and saying stuff in my chat. It means a lot to me. You're definitely one of the D&D tubers I admire a lot. And Frank, you too. I also appreciate all the work, all the conversations we have, and all your videos and everything that you guys do. So go check out Frank is part of What is Tabletop. They're a wonderful channel who talks about game design, and they look at a whole bunch of settings and systems, and like different ways that different systems do different things, like character creation and magic systems and a whole bunch of different things. And every once in a while they talk about Savage Worlds, so they can talk about more. That's fine. But thank you to both of you guys for hanging out, and thank you all of you guys for hanging out and supporting this channel. Look forward to a video on Thursday about the Einstein's theory of relativity and how that applies to your any game, not just Savage Worlds game. And I'm hoping to record some more videos. If you have any ideas for videos that you want me to do, let me know. I know people have been asking for tutorial videos. I don't know why, but I'm reluctant to do them because they're a lot of work to put into, if I'm honest. But thanks for hanging out, and we'll talk to you all next week. 2 weeks from now, Peter Saloom, and then I don't know what we'll talk about next week. I'll have to figure that out. There's a lot of people who I could talk to because there's so many Kickstarters going on. Anyways, may all your dice ace. Have a good weekend, everybody, and stay savage.
See ya.